Lamar Jackson accurately pointed out that the Chiefs are the Ravens' kryptonite. I've seen on Twitter, I think Michael David Smith of PFT noted this along with others. The Ravens with Lamar Jackson are 21-1 against every team in the NFL in the regular season over the past 2 years since Lamar Jackson became the starter, except the Chiefs. They're 0-3 against the Chiefs and 0-2 in the postseason. We'll worry about that in January. But, when I saw that, I understand his point, but I don't want him to become resigned to the fact because Superman can never beat kryptonite. It's a given. Kryptonite is your thing that will always beat you. Don't declare that anything is your kryptonite. You want to overcome it. It needs to be more like Lex Luthor, who beats you early and you come back, or Clubber Lang, or something that beats you, that at the end of the day you win. When you label something kryptonite, you're accepting you're never going to win, aren't you?
No, he's not. I don't think that way. I think really the fact that he's just willing to accept it that way, he's more just going, yeah, they got our number. But it doesn't mean he's not going to go back to the drawing board with the guys on the team and the coaching staff and still want another crack at them at some point, in the playoffs. But go
right.
ahead.
But if they're kryptonite, I mean, Superman, look, here's the thing. I'm not up on the entire legend of Superman from the time he debuted until now. I don't know if he's ever beaten kryptonite, but the whole premise is kryptonite is the thing that always gets you. Now, look, he's always trying to find ways to coexist with kryptonite, but ultimately you want to beat kryptonite. And the way that it went last night, maybe he's right. Maybe we do just need to accept the fact that this rivalry is never going to be a rivalry unless the guy in purple at some point is going to win one.
Agreed. It's not a rivalry right now. It is one-sided. I mean, there's no doubt about that. And, I mean, get into it a little bit about why they are their kryptonite, per se, or whatever you want to say about that. This is –
I didn't say it. Lamar did.
You know what? I've been saying it for a while. I said it.
And why didn't you pick the Chiefs last night?
Because I thought that just with Lamar Jackson, the way he had thrown the ball the first 2 weeks, the addition of Calais Campbell, Marcus Peters, the edginess of them being 0-2 against them the last few years, I thought it'd pull them through. But I was wrong. And this is what's amazing about the Chiefs. I mean, there's a lot of things that jump off. First off, Patrick Mahomes, the best player in football. We end that discussion. That's over. There was a really smart quarterback rankings out there this year that had him as the number one quarterback. Really smart guy. People should tune into him a little bit. Then the other thing that jumps out that I think –
trying to figure out who that is.
Yeah, you know exactly who it is.
Wait. But who out there – I don't pay attention to anyone else because I got my hands full dealing with you.
Yeah.
I can't imagine that it's a consensus take that he's not the best quarterback in football.
Well, no, it was not that way until like February 3rd of 2020. And then it became, he is. Can I have my vote back for that other rankings so I can do it again? But I think here's the other reason too. First off, this is something we don't talk about enough with the Kansas City Chiefs, Mike. We really don't, because we look at them as just high-flying, fun football team. What the Kansas City Chiefs bullied the Baltimore Ravens last night. They physically beat them up, and we don't really give the Kansas City Chiefs the credit they deserve in that department and Andy Reid for the physicality of his football teams. Oh, the big bad Tennessee Titans are coming to town. Whoa, Derrick Henry can't get 100 yards. Oh, the big bad San Francisco 49ers and their defense. Well, they come back and beat them. Now it's the Ravens. And I think that's the number one thing other than Mahomes that jumps out to me about their football team is after that first drive, I mean, the intensity on the field was all on one side. And the team that was in the other team's face, like, yeah, we're here to hit you. We're not going to be bullied like you do to most people. I think that was one of the number one things that jumped off to me early in the football game. And even some of the runs with Clyde Edwards-Helaire and things like that where, I just felt like I needed to bring that up because we don't talk about the Chiefs. We always talk about high-flying, greatest show on turf aspect of their football team.
We need to get a pronunciation check as well on Clyde Edwards-Helaire. It's gone from Clyde Edwards-Helaire to Elaire over and over last night.
Yeah.
I need to get in touch with my buddy Ted Cruz with the Kansas City Chiefs and find out exactly what the preferred pronunciation is. But at least they spelled his name right on the jersey last night. Week 2, they didn't. So the Chiefs equipment personnel getting it right. And Chris, you mentioned the first drive of the game. I was very concerned for the Ravens from the moment they didn't get a touchdown the first drive of the game. Now, look, 4th and 3, do you go for it? Do you not go for it? And we are now in an age where we embrace this idea of going for it on 4th down. We have seen far more reckless decisions this year than going
close.
for it 4th and 3 close to the goal line.
With that team, yeah.
But when you start taking field goals against the Chiefs, you've already beaten yourself because they're going to get their points. So you have to get yours when you can. See, that's where analytics goes out the window. Because if you're playing a team that you know is going to have their 18-2 run at some point, and they did, you better score while you can before the storm comes, period. So I at that moment, when they put Justin Tucker out there for the field goal, no, this isn't respectable opening drive and we get points on the board. You got to get touchdowns against the Chiefs if you're going to have any hope to weather the 18-2 that is inevitable when you play the Chiefs.
Well, it's something you got to always be aware of. There's no doubt about that. Now, the Ravens are a little different team, too. I'm sure they didn't sit there with that football team they had last night thinking like, well, the Chiefs will go on an 18-0 run on us. Like, right? They're not thinking that way. And especially, I think, a week after where they saw the Chargers defense, where I'm sure the Ravens look at them and go, well, we're better than the Chargers defense. And I'm not saying they are, but I'm just saying I'm sure they thought that. Where they slowed down Mahomes and company. Why couldn't we? They had a fight and claw to score 23 against the Chargers. So I think there was probably a little bit of that aspect that comes out. You're right, though. It was a very interesting moment. And then I think after that, they kicked the field goal. We know Kansas City gets the ball, goes right down the field, and we went, whoa, that kind of looked easy. Is that going to continue like that? And, of course, it did continue. And then this is where, I love the Chiefs, and this is the reason I picked them to go back to the Super Bowl, and we'll see where that goes. I'm not trying to, pat myself on the back, but I'm just saying the other thing that jumps out to me about them as a football team is they love that stage last night. They love it. They like being the kings of the Super Bowl hill and going, hey, we're the man. Oh, you've been getting a lot of chatter? Oh, boom, boom, boom. Get down to the bottom of the hill. We're still the kings of it. And I think they really, really love kind of wearing that badge of honor right now. And they're kind of, what do I want to say? Just loving it. I guess that's what I'm trying to say.
And you know what? That's a good point because I almost feel like the only way you're going to get the Chiefs is if you catch them napping. If they see you coming,
they get ready.
You got no chance.
Right.
The Chargers caught them napping in that wedge between the build-up for the first game of the season and, the Ravens and Patriots are looming in back-to-back weeks. That was an opportunity to get them when they weren't necessarily maybe as focused. And see, the rest of us saw that and said, maybe the Ravens are ready. Maybe the Ravens are better.
Yeah.
And that plays right into their hands.
Yeah.
Because I'm sure the Ravens are thinking, this is our time. Well, those teams you've been beaten up on aren't the Chiefs, so the Chiefs walk in there with a chip on their shoulder and a little kryptonite in their pocket, and that's that. And that's part of the human dynamics that fuel the sport. You've got to get everyone who's on the field feeling that way and being motivated and determined and not complacent. That's the biggest challenge for a defending Super Bowl champion is to avoid complacency. So right out of the gates, you go 2-0, and everybody's saying, maybe the Ravens should be the number one team in the power rankings. Oh, the Ravens are going to take care of the Chiefs.
I was saying it to you last week.
Yeah. Well, we all fell for it. We all ate the cheese, and it ended up turning the Chiefs in the right direction. And now they got the Patriots, and we'll be talking about that later in the week. But it's going to be the same dynamic. Where, here comes – if they get past – I'm looking at their schedule. It's like, they're getting past all these tough games early.
I know.
But again, the time to get them is when they don't have full focus. That's the time to get them. And they brought full focus last night, and we saw what happened.
Full focus. They really did. First things, Steve Spagnuolo, the job he did on the defensive side of the ball. They brought the fight to the Baltimore Ravens. And I think that's what, is rare. Baltimore usually is the bully on the field, and they bring the fight, and everybody's like, whoa, 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 hold on. They're going this way. They're going that way. They're pushing us back. They're running us over. They're doing all those things from the get-go, and this is where I think Baltimore's going to have to readjust their style of play the next time they play Kansas City. But Kansas City's the same way. I mean, they bring the fight, too. There's the big bad. Just think about the first play of the game. The big bad Baltimore Ravens, we're going to bring it to Patrick Mahomes and everything like that. All of a sudden, there's 3 motions going everywhere, and they reverse the Tyreek Hill. And you go, whoa. And I'm sure they were like, whoa, we wanted to be aggressive, but holy crap, there was a lot that went on there, and they're fast. It's hard to be aggressive when they're just coming at us. And Brian Griese made a good point during the game, too. There's no rhyme or reason for what Andy Reid does. He just goes, right? It's 3rd and 15. He's as easily going to throw a screen as he could throw a bomb down the field, like we saw that amazing play with Mahomes backpedaling for 20 yards before he throws it to McCole Hardman. And I think that is also an issue for Baltimore there. Baltimore is very smart. They break teams down the right way. And with Andy Reid, you just have no feel for what he's going to go. He's just going to call plays and keep attacking. And that's where it's like the two football worlds and the way they've kind of created themselves really favor the Chiefs and what they bring to the table in that matchup.
But, that's one of the most basic concepts. If you can ever get coaches to adhere to it, being unpredictable on every snap, never allowing the pre-snap look to show what it is you're going to do. You've got a formation. You can run out of it. You can pass out of it. You'll find out when we do it. This formation, they may run, they may pass. We'll find out what they're doing when they do it. The longer you can extend that guessing game, the better chance you have of making the play work, especially when you've got better players. And the Chiefs have better players, and the Ravens decided that they were going to try to blitz Patrick Mahomes. The pass protection held up well. Here's Mahomes after the game talking about how well his blockers did. It helps that Mahomes also was able to elude them, but the blockers had something to do with it. Here's Mahomes on that topic.
Against the blitz, same thing. First going against our defense, when you're going through training camp against Coach Spags, you're getting a heavy dosage of blitzes from everywhere. And so I thought guys accepted that challenge in training camp, and it paid off today. I mean, we might not necessarily have seen that exact blitz, but we had seen blitzes with fire zone pressures and cover zeros, and guys sped up their routes. The O-line gave me enough time because when they're bringing extra people, they're getting big and really swelling up, and I gave me enough time to put the ball downfield and let these guys make some plays.
He was 15 for 19 for 191 yards and 3 touchdowns against the blitz. The Ravens blitzed on 45% of the Patrick Mahomes dropbacks last night and got 0 sacks. Remember when the Titans said, we're just not even going to bother to blitz Dean Pease, the retired defensive coordinator? We're not going to get him, so why bother? And that's when he does those special things when you try to get him and he starts moving around and he jumps in the air and starts to throw a pass and pulls it back in. And the stuff that he does defies the human eye.
It does.
Like, what did I just see?
Right.
This isn't like any quarterback has ever played, and I'm sure the guys trying to catch him are feeling the same thing. So, Chris, I ask you, why even bother to blitz him?
I don't know. I again, that's where, we just kind of talked about it, where I just go, Baltimore is definitely going to have to readjust the way they play Patrick Mahomes and the Kansas City Chiefs. They can't play the way Baltimore wants to play against the Chiefs. They might be able to do it against the other 30 teams in football. But when it comes to playing the Kansas City Chiefs, they're going to have to readjust their formula. Yeah, you can't fluster him with the blitz. He's very smart and been given answers to all the tests, right? Andy Reid has him. He's an ex-O-line guy. He understands how to pick up blitzes, how to teach his offensive linemen the proper techniques as far as, passing things off and doing it that way. And then as we talked about with Andy Reid too, you can't get a beat on him. So it might be 3rd and 8 and the Ravens think, they'll probably block it up and protect him and let him make a throw. And then they send out 5 eligibles and you go, we blitzed and now we don't have enough guys to cover them, or they will, block it up and do crazy things. And then of course, like you said, Mike, I mean, he does crazy things. The 49-yard pass to McCole Hardman at the end of the second quarter, that was a great creative blitz. The Baltimore Ravens do this blitz and coverage all the time. And you remember the play, right? McCole Hardman runs the out and then the up, right? Mahomes does the old Super Bowl shuffle like he did last year and just fades back, all cool and calm, 14 and 15 yards down the field. They have more blitzers than they do blockers, but it doesn't matter, and the coverage can't hold up. The blitz was great, but poor Deshaun Elliott, he's going on a 12-yard out route covering McCole Hardman, and he's going, wait, usually we've already sacked the other team's quarterback, or the guy's thrown the ball already. What the hell's going on? He takes a little peek back, and Mahomes is still backpedaling. I mean, so he does things to where defenses can't even prepare for it, because I guarantee in that secondary, nobody has ever made that type of throw on them with that type of blitz to where they were probably like, what the hell? We sent 7 guys to blitz, and he held the ball for 5 seconds still and threw a 50-yard bomb. And that's where he's just out of this world special to what you're saying. It's never seen really anything like him.
You can't prepare for it.
No.
You can't have a scout team quarterback to do those things.
Right.
There's only one guy on the planet who can do it. And here's the other thing about the blitz. And there was a point where it's 27-20. The Ravens tighten it up. The Chiefs went for it, 4th and 1. The Ravens held. They drive down and score a touchdown. All of a sudden, a 27-10 game is a 27-20 game. And the Chiefs are facing a 3rd and 10 from the Baltimore 39. And what do the Ravens do? They try to blitz Matthew Judon up the middle, put some pressure on Mahomes up the middle. And he looks and he sees a whole lot of green, and he just goes.
Yeah.
And it's not even a thought. Like, I'm not going to even try to throw it. You have abandoned the entire short portion of the field. I'm going to just go run for the first down, extend the drive. And that, to me, felt like the dagger. That was like, okay, you took your shot.
Right.
You tried. At least you tried. Bart Simpson dropping the cake into the trash can gif. But when he converted that 3rd and 10 with his legs, that's when, to me, the air went out of the balloon. From the standpoint of you and I hoping to ultimately have been right with the Ravens winning, that was when I knew that forget it. It's still, yeah, hey, it's great. You're down 17. You've narrowed it to 7.
Right.
It's the 4th quarter. But you're still facing Patrick Mahomes, and he's going to find a way.
You're right. Oh, I mean, it's one of the, again, I think it's one of those things there too where it's like they kind of relish it. They're like, oh, they came back and think they got a chance, and Eric Bieniemy cusses them all out, and I think they all like that on the sideline too. I really do. They're weird. They're messed up in the head that way. The Kansas City Chiefs. And it's like they liked slowly putting the dagger in them one more time. Like, we should have blown you out before, but now we'll blow you out now and just end this game. And his read and recognition skills, I think, is what we're talking about there. When we talk about his ability to see the blitz, feel a guy, unblocked coming, at his backside, or feeling that there's a rushing lane like you're explaining. He's amazing, and there's not a second of, wasted time. He saw that, pass rush, like you're saying, stuck inside. He sees it, he reacts, he goes, and he keeps his eyes down the field too, so guys in coverage can't come up and attack him. But, really, what should have been the final score of this football game? This game should have been, 44-10, something like that. It really should have been. I mean, the Chiefs really did some stupid things. Let's not forget that. And I think still we're sitting here going, well, they won 34-20 and it was convincing, and they left a lot of points and stuff on the field still last night and didn't even play their best football.
But they always do that. They never put 4 quarters together. It's always the 18-2 run.
Right.
And maybe they'll get 2 18-2 runs. But if they ever could do from start to finish what they're capable of doing, the final score would be 64-3. That's the reality. They do sputter at times, and that's what makes their performance even more amazing. That it's lightning strikes. It's not a methodical Patriot-style smothering like we saw when they got to 36 on Sunday against the Raiders. It is points in bunches, and then you're just marveling at what you just saw as the game continues to unfold. And you're right about the demeanor of the Chiefs. They and this is, I think, part of the reality of all those double-digit deficits coming back in 3 postseason games, being down 10 points with 7 minutes left in the Super Bowl. You develop an attitude that it doesn't matter what you do. It doesn't matter. Go ahead, do whatever you want to do. Whatever you do, blitz us, we got you. Don't blitz us, we got you. Drop 8 guys into coverage like Belichick's probably going to do on Sunday, we got you.
Yeah.
Whatever you do, we'll figure it out. And it helps to now have Clyde Edwards-Helaire, who can soften up everything underneath if you give them everything underneath and force you to come back forward so Patrick Mahomes can throw it over you. But it's – and then you've got the mad scientist in Andy Reid, who looks like he really is a mad scientist in a lab with his face shield on, just cooking up whatever he wants to do and keeping you constantly on your heels.
Yeah.
Look at that. 8 different guys had a catch last night, including Eric Fisher, who got that touchdown that pushed it to the final score of 34-20.
Well, it's hard to you can't match up with everybody. And then when Andy Reid's on his game with creativity, and I think like what you just said, Mike, like that Clyde Edwards-Helaire short passing game. What we saw on the first 2 drives of the game was some of the cool screens and short passes and fake screen to the left, fake screen to the right, Kelsey down the middle, the underhand throw to Sherman, the fullback, for a touchdown. Like, if Kansas City masters that universe right there of, like, screens, short passes, wide receiver screens. You don't really see Kansas City throw wide receiver screens, right? I mean, if you could get them to do screens like the New England can in their prime, or, even in New Orleans and things like that, to where they could start throwing the ball behind the line of scrimmage to these receivers and do that, and then you mesh, like you're saying, the down the field throws with this short, like, keep your head spinning attack, more of the, like, the 3rd and 4th and 1 stuff we saw in the Super Bowl from the Kansas City Chiefs with all the crazy formations. To me, if they add that and that becomes cohesive with the deep part of their offense, throwing the ball aggressively, they'll be unstoppable. We won't be able to stop them because the way they're orchestrated, the way they pass protect, the talent at receiver, Mahomes, and then that formula on offense is going to be almost unstoppable.
I mean, because think of the mindset for the defense. You're locked in, you're braced, you're white-knuckled, you're ready to try to stop Tyreek Hill and have somebody account for Sammy Watkins, and we've got coverage on Travis Kelce, and we feel good about this. All right, Chiefs, give it to us. Bring it. We're ready. And then they do a little receiver screen, or they hand it off to Clyde Edwards-Helaire, or Tyreek Hill goes in motion, and you're getting gashed at a time when you're trying to keep them from running by you. You haven't accounted for the fact that they're going to run through you.
Yeah, I know. That's exactly it. And this is the attitude that Edwards-Helaire has brought to the football team. I mean, how many – there's a few times last night he smashed it up in there. The Ravens couldn't even get him to the ground. He breaks a tackle, gets a few more yards that way. I mean, he's given their offense a little bit of an attitude. He really has. He's given them a toughness element. And I think that's where it's really special. So you talk about all the weapons they have in that, and then now the little toughness element and the screen game element. Wow. And then if the defense continues, because we haven't even talked about the defense yet, and the defense was phenomenal, stopping the offense that we thought was unstoppable through 2 weeks, and the player that we thought was unstoppable and had it all. I mean, they just have so many playmakers that love the big lights. They have creative coaching, and it just seems like they're really enjoying being Super Bowl champs still and defending their title and not coming off that hill.
And they kept Lamar Jackson and the Ravens from getting it going early and matching them points for points. Here's Lamar Jackson after the game talking about the Ravens' slow start offensively.
Well, I'll say second half, just like I say always, like we always start cranking up at the wrong time. We got to come in and finish how we start. Like we always go opposite, I guess, against them for some reason. We just got to tighten up and play better, that's all.
Yeah, I mean, look, they found themselves down 17 for the second straight year against the Chiefs. And you can't turn it on once you're down 17. You've got to keep it close. So as they are scoring their points, you've got to be scoring your points. That's back to our original point. Don't settle for a field goal on the opening drive of the game because the storm eventually is coming. And defensively, that really was the surprise last night. To see Lamar Jackson, with all the talk about the improved passing, for him to be held to 97 passing yards, and he never could really get anything going. Look, he's going to get his rushing yards because when he puts the pedal to the metal, there are a few people who can come close to catching him. But when you can't complement that with the throws, you're not going to have the kind of offense necessary to outscore the Chiefs. You can go 21-1 against the rest of the league in the regular season,
right,
but you're going to lose to the Chiefs every time you come up against them.
Yeah, well, that's right. Well, the Chiefs have, some interesting dynamics on that side of the ball that really help them match up with the Ravens. First off, we've talked about Spags, right? Spags is creative. He does outside-the-box thinking. He doesn't care that, this defense has never been run in the history of football. It needs to be run this week against the Ravens to stop them or whatever. So that's where he's awesome. And then, again, I think it goes back to a little bit of the big bad dude thing we started off the show with. The Chiefs got some big bad dudes in the middle of that defense. They liked the fight with Baltimore last night. Chris Jones, Nandi, Passignon, Frank Clark. They like getting dirty, and then they got two linebackers in the middle, and Hitchens and Wilson, who are also like that and can run sideline to sideline. And I think the thing that concerned me the most, or maybe you like the most if you're the Chiefs, and I think what concerns you, the Ravens, is, okay, yeah, the bread and butter run plays don't work. We can't get that going. The Chiefs locked them up in the pass game, locked them up. I mean, the lack of wide receiver involvement of the Baltimore Ravens has to be concerning for their football team. It does. Oh, man, the run didn't work. Well, we couldn't really get Mark Andrews going. Who the hell else is there? I mean, Hollywood, we saw a few shots, and to me, that's going to be one of the big questions about the Ravens going forward, Mike.
We talked earlier about the difficulty preparing for the Ravens because you don't have access to a Patrick Mahomes on your scout team. I think this helps the Chiefs' defense that these players in practice go against that offense. Right, whether they go ones on ones or whether you're on the backup defense, sure. Whenever you're out there on the field, whoever is against the starting offense is seeing better talent than they will ever see in a game. And that's how you make your defense better.
You're right.
You put them through the kind of pressure in practice they're never going to see in a game that counts.
That's what good teams do. I mean, it goes back to what Mahomes said. Yeah, we're used to Baltimore Ravens blitzes because Spagnuolo blitzes us all the time and does crazy crap. So we're not flustered when a team does it to us. And you're right. I think that's a very valid point. Their defense sees super freaks every day in practice. So they get out there with a Hollywood Brown. They're like, oh, yeah, you're fast, but you're like the third fastest receiver on our team. So that's where it is. It's unbelievable. And the way they covered them up and made the passing game just choppy at best for the Baltimore Ravens and really not getting anybody involved in that. Very, very impressive. And then, Tyrann Mathieu, Thornhill in the back end, some of those guys, they cover a little bit better. I hope that L'Jarius Sneed didn't get hurt because he's a really good corner. I know they said he hurt his collarbone, but I was just really impressed with the secondary of Kansas City, too, to get in the face of those Ravens receivers and basically make them a non-existent point in the game last night.
But there are issues for the Ravens that are independent of the struggles against the Chiefs.
Yeah.
They may be the kryptonite, but
right.
Here's the reality. The Ravens can't start slow. They have to be ahead. They are 0-10 after trailing at the half, 0-6 with Lamar Jackson as the starter, 0-10 since 2018. Lamar became the starter during the 2018 season. When they lead at the half, they are 20-0 under Lamar Jackson. Right. So it's and there are different ways you can react to that, but the bottom line is there's enough data out there that it's a trend that either needs to be reversed or it needs to be understood. You need to understand we can't fall behind. We can't settle for a field goal on the opening drive of the game. We have to go for the touchdown. This isn't analytics. This is we're playing the Chiefs, and we can't afford to fall behind. We can't go into the locker room behind, or it makes it even harder to overcome that little chunk of green. Is it green? Is kryptonite green?
Yeah, I think it seems like
whatever it is.
I felt like
whatever it's red.
The old one.
Kryptonite's red.
It's red for the Ravens.
It's
red. Yeah, it's actually red, and it has a number too. It's 1 and 5 is on there. Okay, it's a special edition kryptonite. But I think that's a real thing with the Ravens. I do, and I think it's going to be, we're going to continue to talk about it until they shut us up. It's a little bit like, oh yeah, Lamar Jackson, winning a playoff game. We know that's going to be a thing. Well, I think before we even get there, it's going to be, can Lamar Jackson in the passing game of the Ravens win a football game for them when they can't bully and overpower people in the run game? that's still going to be. And through 2 weeks, I thought it's trending towards I think so. But, of course, last night it's making me doubt that once again. The Ravens, though, to that stat you talked about, yeah, when they go in at half and they're leading, what does that, what's that allow them to do? It allows them to continue to be balanced on the offensive side of the ball, right? They can still run and be patient with that, take some shots. And then the biggest thing, too, is it lets their defense just be more multiple. Oh, we're in the lead. You have to throw the ball more. Here comes more Wink Martindale, crazy blitzes and coverages, and it really just plays right into their hands.
Let's put a pin in the discussion just for a minute or two. We're going to continue to talk about the game, but you talked earlier about demeanor of the Chiefs. What was the demeanor of Lamar Jackson on that drive when they're down 34-20 and they're trying to cut it again to 7, and you could see the frustration?
Yeah.
You could sense it.
Right.
He was upset, right? Very different than that vibe you get from Patrick Mahomes. And that's the area where the Ravens need to work. And maybe they just need to have one of these comebacks that works to get to the point where they've got that same vibe that we can do this. But I think as you look at the overall development of Lamar Jackson, one of the best quarterbacks in football, you've got to find a way to erase a deficit in the fourth quarter, have things go well, command the offense, get down the field, score points, get the ball back, get the win, and then maybe you start developing that same confidence that just emanates from every pore of Patrick Mahomes' body.
Hi, I'm Mike Tirico, and thanks for watching. Make sure to hit subscribe for the latest news and highlights from NBC Sports.